About a few years back, Shonda Rhimes wrote a book called Year of Yes. It was really a game changer to and for me. And there were a few key concepts that she talked about that really resonated with me. So, for one, she was a self admitted workaholic. And I felt that. And because she was such a workaholic, she missed out on herself. She missed out on social opportunities. She was missing out on better health for herself, family time, things of that nature. Things that they tell you when you're a kid that you should value, and you get lost in the sauce as you continue to work. And then all of a sudden, what's personal time? What's self-care? Never heard of it a day in my life, right? So she missed out on herself. She didn't choose herself. And so eventually she got to the point where she just decided to say yes to things that she normally would not say yes to, or things that she would put to the side. And as a result of doing that, and she's kept that up, she experienced a change in her lifestyle that was absolutely remarkable. And she found herself happier and much more positive. And if you remember Shonda Rhimes, she lost a lot of weight. Then all of a sudden she was, ascending even higher. And now she's, got her own stuff on Netflix. She left ABC. And it's because she started to say yes. Yes to things that she normally wouldn't say yes to. Yes to playing with her kids even before she had to be at some big event. Or yes to going to those celebrity cocktail nights or hours or things like that. Things that she normally wouldn't do because she was more introverted, and she decided to, be a workaholic instead, right? She said yes to all of the things. And I think all of us can agree that sometimes we have to push ourselves to do things that we normally wouldn't do, or things that normally would make us feel uncomfortable. That book is so amazing. And me and Shonda Rhimes, not to say that I am Shonda Rhimes, because I love me some Shonda Rhimes, y'all, but, we're saying the same things. And this podcast episode is not exclusive of anybody, but I'm just going to say this. For us, especially women, or for us, Black women, or for us, singers, that includes a large pocketed bunch of people. We say yes to too much, okay? And we need to start saying no. Why do I say that? I learned a long time ago, especially after reading that book, and that book really supporting things that I knew to be true. I figured out that no allows me to say yes to the things that I really want. And a lot of times we're just so used to saying yes because it's programmed in us to say yes. Do you want to hang out this weekend? Yes. Do you want to date this person instead? Yes. Do you want to do the dishes tonight? Yes. Do you want to cook dinner? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Do you want to get paid or not? Yes. Do you need a job or no? Yes. We say yes to everything. And it's because we've been so accustomed to believe that no is a negative word. And in a lot of cases, no, again, allows you to say yes to the things that you really want to say yes to. It's called having boundaries. So things that I have personally learned to say no to as a singer, you get a lot of BS flung your way, I think, as a woman, and then as a Black woman, and as a singer. You are constantly bombarded with low paying opportunities. You're constantly bombarded with situations where you really don't want to do it, but because someone has made you think that you have to do this in order to get ahead, or you need to do this for exposure, or whatever the case may be, you're caught up in a web of yes, and it leaves you spun out and tired when really you didn't feel like doing it, or really it wasn't a good idea to do it. So you really should have said no in the first place, right? So I have learned to say no to things that just exhaust me. Right. So at the end of the day, I'm not ashamed to admit I do have a full-time job, and I also teach clients. When I get to the end of my day, which is sometimes about a 10-ish to 12-ish hour day, give or take a little bit, I'm tired. And so people, I'm a socialite, I'm an extrovert, I'm an ENTPA. Like, I'll tell you all the things about me. And people will hit me up and they're like, oh, do you want to go do X, Y, and Z tonight, some sort of activity, usually involving drinking, right? Or, we're going to do X, Y, and Z on Saturday. Do you want to come? And I'm thinking about my schedule and I'm thinking about the things that I have to do. And I'm already tired. And I probably will be tired on Saturday, depending on what I have to do. And so then I have to graciously decline. I say, no, please let me know the next time. I would love to do it another time. But, right now, that's not going to work for me. And because I have learned to just go ahead and say no, I have probably a little more money in my pocket to do the things that I really want to do. And I have the energy and I have the time as well. Things that don't excite you, you should be saying no to. There are so many sharks out there as a musician. And for all my younger musicians out there, there will be so many people approaching you with gigs that are exposure gigs. But exposure gigs don't pay your bills. They don't pay the rent. And especially if you have experience and or education behind your name, certifying that you are a performer of merit, right? Why are you accepting all of these exposure gigs? Because they only give you exposure bucks and it doesn't pay the exposure rent, right? Like, what? So many gigs that you will see come your way, you need to say no to. So many gigs that you will also see will be lowballing gigs. Someone else would charge $500 to do this gig. But this person's going to approach you probably because you're younger, maybe you're fresh out of school, whatever the case may be. And they're going to ask you to do an hour set for $75. No, you need to say no. That shouldn't excite you because $75 is literally my DoorDash, okay? And I have to use my practice time to get ready for this gig. I have to pay for coachings or lessons to potentially prepare for this gig. Perhaps I have to look up music for this gig because I may or may not already be familiar with the music for this gig. Then I have to put gas in my vehicle. If you live in Detroit, you probably drive, right? I have to put gas in my vehicle to get to said gig. That's money. Mileage to physically, literally travel to the gig. That's money. And I probably, depending on how long the gig is, I may or may not need a meal. And if I didn't pack a meal, and if I just can't wait to get home because I'm starving, then that is something to pay for as well. And by the end of that process, that's $75 for back-to-back songs for an hour for a set. That's $75 to $100, which is very low anywhere. You have gone into the negatives. And was it even worth it? Are you tired? Probably so. Are you grateful to sing? Yes, but was it worth it? No. You probably should be saying no to things like that. You absolutely should. Ain't no probably about it. Here's where it gets a little deeper. We've got to learn to say no to problematic people. And that includes coworkers. That includes your boss. And that can include family as well. So before y'all just cut me off and say, oh no, we got to bounce. Like she don't know what she's talking about. Let me just tell you, you have to learn to say no. And there are ways to say no. I will give you the prime example. I personally, since I have been working and since I have been afforded to have a work-related email address at whatever company I'm at the time or organization that I'm at the time, I have a work email. I also have work hours. When those work hours are over, I don't open my email. When it's the weekend, I don't look at my email. That's my way of saying no without having to say no. When I am asked to do something and I have a conflict and it is not a part of my contract and it does not involve overtime, I have to say no because I have some other opportunity that I'm already pre-committed to, and it just looks real trifling if I just bounce out like that. As a matter of fact, in terms of emails, like I talked about, I don't even put my work email on my phone. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, because what'll happen is I will see an email come through. I will get distracted by it. I will pop it open just to, to be curious because of the headline. And then the next thing you know, I'm in distress because I'm either reading something about this situation, and now I'm invested, or I feel like I have to reply immediately or take action. I have got to say no. I learned a long time ago, no is going to get you a lot further, because it's saying that I choose myself. And I really want myself to feel refreshed. I love me. I want to feel healthy. I want to feel good. I want to feel prideful. I want to feel like I'm living my full life regardless of where I am. And that involves me saying no. Problematic people. I have had so many managers who have, shaded me, for lack of better words, or passive aggressive to me to death, right? That's not a word, but I just made it up, about not saying a specific message at a specific time that they probably should have said no to sending that time to. And I'm just like, okay, all right. The older you get, the more you realize, like, hey, I got to have space for myself. How do I continue to make space for myself? And that goes to family members as well. If somebody's always asking you to do the dishes, or asking you to clean up, or asking you to do those things, and you don't want to do them, or you don't have time to do them, or really they should just be doing it themselves, okay? You probably need to say, no, I'm not doing that. You can do that. And sayonara. Like, you have got to learn to say no. No to low pay. And that's not just in the gig world, in the employment world as well. Negotiate your pay. Never take that first offer, because you probably are worth more anyway, and they're going to make you do more. So that's something that I learned late to the party. I didn't have that conversation a lot when I was younger. And boy, did I learn, because you would be pissed off when somebody else is making what you should have been making had you only asked for that or negotiated for that. You have to say no to those things. And so in order to get to the point where we're very clear about our own boundaries and very clear about what we want to say no to, the real big overarching question really is, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to manifest? Because that is what you focus on. You're not focusing on saying no specifically to a person, a place, a thing, idea, a noun. Okay, that's what I just described. You're not focused on just saying no, right? You're not manifesting no, because that the universe recognizes that as a negative, so it's going to cancel everything out and really bring more of that to your doorstep. Instead, you want to focus on the yeses. You want to focus on what you want to achieve. I want to achieve practice time. I want to achieve an optimized nirvana state when I practice. I want to achieve a new home. I want to achieve a Jeep. I love my Jeep. I'm a Jeep driver, by the way. But what do you want? What do you want? Because you focus on that. And once you have clarity on what it is that you want, you make space for that, and you cancel out what you don't want, what doesn't fit. And if you cannot immediately cancel those things out that you don't want, you begin to make a plan to get what you do want, and that will phase out what it is that you don't want. We've got to learn how to say yes to what we want. And in that saying yes to what we want, we have said no to a bunch of bull that we don't need anyway. That is the biggest question. What do you want? A lot of people, that question, it just sounds so simple, but it's really not. And a lot of people really get stumped when you ask them, what do you want? What is it that you want? What do you want? And all of a sudden you will receive a look on their face that's like a deer caught in headlights, because maybe no one has ever asked them that before, but even crazier, they've never asked themselves what it is that they want. They've never taken that time to carve out the definitive dream. You've got to make that time. Focus on that. That's a question that requires maybe some meditation, some journaling, some counseling, whatever it is that you need. What do you want? Because that's going to define it all. That's going to be the game changer. And really, I guess, at the end of the day, what Shonda Rhimes is talking about in Year of Yes, and what Calabria is talking about in Year of No, is boundaries. And that's a concept I've learned as an adult that a lot of people continue to struggle with, boundaries. I personally got a therapist, right? I'm not ashamed to say that. My therapist helped me to hash out my boundaries, because whatever systems I had, or they not even systems really, they were just broken. They were just a hot ass mess. And so I needed some guidance there. And once I was able to erect healthy boundaries for myself and enforce those boundaries, I began to feel a lot more secure in who I was. So I'll give you like a really personalized example. Up until like recently, I have always had traumatic dating situations. There's a lot that goes into that. I won't go there, but I'll just let you know I'm real regular. I'm regular as all get out. And I had these crazy dating situations, and they would all be so traumatic, like for no reason, like at the end. And really, it all happened because I never took the time in the beginning by myself, solo dolo, to carve out what I wanted and what matched my values, and then compare who it is that I am with what I've written to get myself in order. And a lot of that was boundaries. So a lot of people were just doing these crazy things to me, or saying these real crazy things to me that would just stun me, and maybe I would respond, maybe I wouldn't. Most of the time I'm a hothead, so I will respond. But, it was a boundary issue. Somebody had infiltrated my boundary, and not in a good way. And I didn't know it. I didn't recognize it because I didn't carve out what it is that I wanted and who it is that I was. And once we got to the root of that thing in therapy, honey, let me tell you, it was a game changer, because I had a very clear picture of what I wanted in a partner. Now, I wish I could say that immediately after that, things flipped over, but they didn't. It took a couple of years so far, right? And now all of the things that I need, all of the things that I want are in said partner. And it's because I prioritized myself and my boundaries. I defined what was appropriate treatment for me. I defined, what emotional responsiveness was for me. And then I enforced that. And then when I am uncomfortable, or, my boundary is set ablaze by anybody, I take a second to myself, and I figure out why I'm upset, to see if it actually is a me thing or if it is a them thing. And then I communicate that, because communication establishes and enforces those boundaries. My other question to you: what systems do you have in place to encourage those maintained boundaries? What systems? Are you talking about it in counseling? Hell, do you have a counselor? I think everybody needs to go. So, I'm a little biased towards that. It's been game changing, but, do you have counseling? What about your friends or family? The people that you spend the most time around, what are they like with boundaries? Do you model them for each other? Do you model healthy boundaries? Do you model knowing when to say yes or no? Do they model it? What does it look like for you? What does it look like for them? If you have kids, as an artist, do you model that for your kids? What do? You have to assert yourself, because ain't nobody gonna do it for you. So it's really just about having that awareness and defining that. And my last system, which comes from a lot, right? It's been tweaked and developed in counseling, but my last system to encourage my maintained boundary is having confidence, knowing that I'm that girl. I'm gonna be that girl regardless. And it's not because of what I look like, and it's not because of how good I am at something. It's about who I am at the core. My values directly tied to my offerings, which directly are of my person, my being, my human, who I am. And who I am, again, is great. It's great. It's more than enough. And I'm confident that when I step into the room or the conversation or relationship or whatever, I know that what I have to give is the best that I have to offer. And I stand firm in that. I believe in that. That's not anything new for me. That is my biggest system. And I can tell you, at over 30 years old now, that has been the hardest system for me to erect and to maintain. And it took a lot of soul searching. But believe me, if I can get there, anybody can get there. Okay? Because I was operating on hotmess.com. It was terrible, to be honest. But what systems do you have in place to encourage those boundaries? If you don't have any systems yet, what do you think can be helpful to you? Like, this is a reflective process. It's dynamic. It always changes, right? Just because you get one thing one time doesn't mean that that's going to stand for the rest of your life. It could change, and we want change. Change is healthy. Change means growth. You do the most growing in an uncomfortable situation anyway, and usually uncomfortability is brought on by change. So think about that. What is your action plan? I will tell you, when you start enforcing those boundaries, people going to be pissed at you. They're going to be mad, big mad. And guess what? That's okay. Because what you're doing in the long run is showing them your care for you. And eventually they will honor that, and they will ask you about that. And if they don't, they will just get on somewhere. And that's okay too. You have to be okay knowing that everybody's not going to walk this journey with you. Are you concerned with FOMO, or are you concerned with your peace? Is it a fear of missing out situation? Or are you at peace with whatever happens? We got to learn to make peace with ourselves. I will say, as an artist, making peace with myself and being confident and comfortable in myself has brought out some of the most just unearthing experiences through art, through singing. I'm able to dig up, and I'm not even all the way deep there, right? I'm able to tap into the surface of emotions that I didn't know were appropriate to come out within my art, which makes it easier for me to build relationships with others through my art, which is powerful, because that's one of the main goals and main drivers of art as is. It's a connection piece. We want that. We want those relationships. So I really encourage you, if you don't have an action plan, create one. It's powerful, it's game changing, and it's accessible. So in order for us to have that year of yes, we got to get comfortable and just truly aware of creating that year of no. What are you going to say yes to? Build your no on what you're going to say yes to. Don't even focus on the no. Focus on the yes. Because then that clarity will come, and you're going to be a whole new person from that. Hey y'all, thanks for kicking it with me. And as usual, you can find me online. If you're looking for me as a singer, I'm CalabriaWeb.com. If you're looking for some voice instruction to get that thing pop popping, I'm musicwithcalabria.com. I'm always open to taking new students, and I can't wait to hear from you. I've also got some really cool things going on both of my brands. So if you want to join one or both of my email lists by venturing to the sites, can't wait to hear from you. Leave me any messages online, and I will see you all soon.